What's Fooly Cooly? What is Fooly Cooly? Cooly, gooey, gooey. Ray. Fooly Cooly. What does it mean? What does it mean? Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about a little anime. I don't know if you heard of it. It's called Fooly Cooly, or FLCL officially. But yeah, Fooly Cooly is way easier. What is there to say? Fooly Cooly. It's a hell of a show, that's for sure. Fooly Cooly is a surrealist science fiction comedy about the life of a boy named Naota, whose life gets pretty weird when a girl named Haruko crashes into him with a Vespa. The show is weird on all fronts, to be completely frank. It was pretty hard to keep track of in the beginning, but eventually you just get used to it. It's pretty crazy, really sus at times, but it was a pretty good experience, honestly. There's a lot to say about these single 6 episodes. And yes, in case you're wondering, this will only be of the first season. I don't have any plans to review alternative or progressive, as of right now at least. So yeah, we'll just be reviewing the first season. What is there to say? I don't want to spoil the plot, so I guess let's talk about characters first. There's Haruko. Naota's like this boy. He likes to live normally. He likes to live a normal life. He's got things he wants to keep in check, and of course, when his life starts to get weird during the events of the series, of the season, it's pretty wound up about it, All this weird stuff starts happening. It confuses him. What does this happen because of Haruko? The girl who I said crashes into him for this one. She's pretty weird. She's an alien. Not much of a spoiler. She revealed it pretty early. She constantly hits Naoto with a guitar. Runs him over many more times. Likes to hit other things with the guitar. Her intentions. There was this other girl who was a pretty good character. I believe her name was Mimajima.
Hello everyone. Future Wiki here. I just like to say, after the recording of this video, I found out that girl's name was Mamimi. So yeah, I kind of screw up her name for the rest of the video, so just gonna let you know when I say her name, just know I mean Mamimi. Not Mimajima or whatever the hell.
Mimajima, I think? I don't remember completely. In the beginning, Mimajima and Naoto are hanging out. Mimajima is this nerdy girl who freaks out over this video game. She likes to smoke and stuff. Both her and Naoto skip school. And she was also in love with Naoto's brother, who during most of the story is in America playing baseball. And both of them miss him very much. So yeah, Haruko crashes into Naoto with the Vespa, right? And after that, he gets a bump and stuff. It's a really weird looking bump.
Hey y'all, come look at this!
He wakes up and Haruko, the same girl from before, moves into his house. Stuff happens from there, and yeah, that's how the story starts. There's many other characters. There's Naoto's dad and grandpa. His grandpa doesn't do much, but his dad has a pretty good presence. He's a pretty funny guy, and he'll always make these. He's pretty much the show's reference machine, honestly. There's Naoto's school friends. There's these 2 boys. One who's just relaxed and has big lips. And this other one who always teases him. And then there's this purple-haired girl. She's the class president, I think, and I don't know. I don't really know what to say about her other than she's another serious character, I guess. There's also this robot named Gaki, who in the first episode comes out of Naoto's head. Yeah, I'll explain that later. Pretty much every single time, Haruko runs over Naota, he gets a bump, and that bump thing, eventually starts to expand, which creates a portal in his head, which summons something. There's these soldiers waiting around to get turned on by it, or part of this organization or something. It's really weird. Speaking of the soldiers, there's that other guy. I didn't get his name, but like, he's got like red hair. He wears fake eyebrows, represent maturity, I guess. Whenever they're off, he's not mature. Or more like, he just whines a lot when he has no fake eyebrows. They're pretty cool too. They were pretty funny. Honestly, that's about it in terms of characters. Now, aside from that, the other stuff in the show is like pretty interesting to talk about. When I, sat down and watched the first episode, I'm gonna be real with you. I was actually laughing at how ridiculous it was. I was like laughing at how verbally saying what the hell is going on. All this stuff was happening. Like it was really, really fast paced. Like it's just one thing from another in the show. Crap, what is that? Like in one episode, like this one episode where Naoto and his dad go to war for each other for Haruka, and they're like wielding guns, like shoot at each other, and his dad is wearing a Nazi uniform and stuff. Like the robot Kanji, he's there. Haruka's there too. They're firing guns at each other. Another thing happens. This happens. Like you could hardly keep track of it. I mean, there were definitely some memorable moments. Trust me, the show was completely ridiculous. Like, it's like absurd in nature. And I'm not going to explain what absurdism even means, but I'll say is the life can be pretty absurd at times. That's one thing you can get from the show. Something completely bonkers happens, and by the end of it now, they're just accepts that it happens. Know what I mean? What happened. There are like a lot of obscure references to this. Like in a way, it's like the best thing you can compare to is a 21st century movie. And trust me, if you've been around here since the practical birth of my channel, you would know that I have a pretty big history of 21st century memes. Now they're pretty similar, both Fooly Cooly and 21st century memes are similar in the way that, upon a single glance, it all seems completely crazy. And it would seem that way considering it's made up of obscure reference on top of an obscure reference with another obscure reference added to the side with a little bit of actual comedy used. And speaking of reference, they talk about some interesting things. The show's references in itself seem to be very deeply rooted in things like music and, anime in general. They usually take a look at tropes and I guess they subvert them in many different ways. They choose to do a lot of things. Sometimes they subvert. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they reconstruct. They subvert and then unsubvert it. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff they do. They talk about this commercial Van Halen did once. Spoiler alert. One of the enemies turns into a giant hand, which then attaches itself to the top of this one major building. You'll have to watch the show. Which has the intent to iron out the planet so everyone becomes a smooth brain. Like ironing out the wrinkles of your brain. One major character is named the Pirate King, despite having nothing to do with One Piece. His dad just dies in the 4th episode. Kind of. For some reason. He comes back though, guys. He's fine. And then there's this other common joke. Many of the characters will ask what Fooly Cooly even means. Which, trust me, it is a question as introspective as the question of what the identity of Joe is. That one girl, Inujima, she tries to start fires in the game. That's because of a fire that happened way more in the past. The robot will sometimes eat Naoto and transforms into this red robot, which defeats the enemy. Which every single episode sprouts out of Naoto's hand. After Haruka bumps him again, or sometimes there's an exception. As according to Wikipedia, the director of the show stated himself that when he made Fooly Cooly, he was trying to break the rules, doing things like getting an indie band to do the entire soundtrack, and also making it more like fast-paced, sort of like an app, you know?
Consommé, consommé, consommé panchi. Conseille, consommé panchi. Consommé panchi, consommé,
Like that sort of like fast-paced action that will, you know, usually just get you to the point, you know? Most of the time. And I will state this again. He made it with the point. He made it specifically so it didn't make any sense. This show isn't supposed to make sense. And it's one of the show's greatest strengths. You just turn your mind off and watch this. It's freaking amazing. Probably get a few laughs. You know, you want like an angry guy who like overanalyzes everything. I mean, who would do that? Who would overanalyze? It's so stupid. I mean, the show even goes out of its way to, you know, throw shade at Evangelion theorists.
Robot is fundamentally accepted to it, and the social structure that makes that possible. And everyone is buying digital games. Robot Detective K. Nakamori.
What's he talking about?
He wrote a whole book on the deep mysteries of Eva.
Which is pretty ironic considering that this show has a pretty sizable amount of theorists itself. Which I just have to say, to all Fooly Cooly theorists out there. How are you able to, you know, decipher the cultural significance, hidden messages, and all that of this? People go crazy trying to analyze a horror video game where you just click buttons about possessed robots. That game series, despite how straightforward it sounds on paper, makes people go crazy when they try to theorize about it. How could you possibly comprehend something that's not supposed to be comprehended? So yeah, dear all Fooly Cooly theorists, how are you not in a mental asylum yet? And sure, there probably is something there that somewhat makes sense from an artistic standpoint, but why try? The whole point is just turn off your brain and enjoy everything you see before you. Speaking of, you know, looking, I'm just going to quickly go over the animation. The animation is interesting because I don't know how well Gainax was doing when they made Fooly Cooly financially. Sometimes it's pretty well, it's pretty good. But sometimes it does seem like, you know, pretty flat. But honestly, sometimes that works to its favor. It just like feels right when it's in this kind of show, you know? Like, I was laughing my ass off in this one part in season 3 when they were all like eating this curry, right? And they just constantly reused that purple-haired girl's animation when she ate. Whereas everyone else was just freaking out over how spicy the curry was. She just stood there, doing the same thing over and over until the end. You know, until the end of the bit. There are also these, like, three-dimensional scenes. Also, like, these three-dimensional scenes. They don't happen too often, but they're pretty good. In the first episode, it's freaking hilarious.
Smoky barbecue bacon Buford from Checkers. Big stupid ragged ass.
And the way it just scrolls around it, just look at this. These are some pretty good shots, you know. I like them. Yeah. Now anyway, end this off. Honestly, I think the one thing in this show that perfectly encapsulates everything that this show is about is the outro song. Now, Fooly Cooly doesn't have a proper opening theme song, but it does have an ending theme song made by The Pillows, the indie band that, made most of the songs for Fooly Cooly. Now, the song itself makes no sense. It's just random lines said to each other. That might not seem much right. However, I really started to think about it in the second episode while watching on Funimation. Now, for context, Funimation would usually sub the lyrics in the end, right? But here's the interesting thing about the Funimation band. In their subs, right, every odd numbered episode, it translates it like normal, right? Saying what the Japanese people are saying, what they're singing. However, every even numbered episode, rather than showing the direct translation, it instead shows the romanji of the lyrics. So yeah, you can understand it. And that really got me thinking how it fit with the rest of the show. It did. Because, aside from the pretty great visuals in the outro, like the animation of what was she even doing there? She's pumping her Vespa. Yeah. I don't know, she struggles to get on. I don't know that. From, the live action shot, I don't know, someone tried to do the Vespa around the town. It's pretty memeable, text over it. This switch between the direct English translation and the romanji really made me think about anime openings as a whole. I mean, when you listen to an anime opening or ending song, sure, you could look into it, see what it means, see what the words that are being said mean, but at the end of the day, what really matters to anyone really, to, just a casual watcher who's not there to, overanalyze things and, make discoveries, but someone just there to enjoy what they're watching. What it means won't matter. All that will matter is how it sounds like. So this song does everything a generic, ending outro would usually do. Have fast-paced words with English words sprinkled in there, given effects, to contrast everything else, like many other songs do. It doesn't matter what the words mean. What matters is that the person who's listening to it likes what they're listening to. And that itself perfectly encapsulates the show. What happens doesn't matter. What happens to these characters doesn't truly matter. All that matters is that what we're watching is enjoyable to our eyes. That we enjoy what we're seeing. It doesn't matter how wacky, crazy, idiotic, topsy-turvy, brainless, maniacal, pollywalky, even Fooly Cooly it may all seem. But as long as you're enjoying the experience, as long as you're enjoying the experience of watching all of this happen, of watching this art piece, that's all that you really need. It's really cool. And yeah, it's not the best show I've seen. It's not my favorite either. But honestly, it's still amazing. And I'd say it's one of the best anime out there. Probably my top 20. No, maybe. Yeah, my top 20. It's definitely up there. Overall, 8.2 out of 10 wiki stars. This show deserves I don't. So anyway, my name is Mr.Wik-e. And remember, I want your admiration, not your admiration. Uh,